All righty. Today's guest is a philosopher and a champion for being. He leads a team of creating champions who teach, coach, and guide thousands of entrepreneurs and artists in being more free, loving, and powerful by learning and embodying the creating with a capital C perspective. Their clients achieve a union of outcomes and spiritual growth, material success, and social impact. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to today's guest, Mr. John Patrick Morgan. And I'll toss in a junior for you.
Thanks, all of it. Yeah,
Yeah,
cool. That was. I like the way you read it. I think you could have like a cheer, like an audience sound effect in the background at the
I
end of
need a
that.
button.
Yeah, exactly. You need that button. Yeah,
That's it,
cool.
man. That's cool, man. So what the heck's what is a champion for being?
Yeah. So champion for me represents two things. Number one, it represents being the absolute best at whatever it is that you do. I have a picture of Muhammad Ali on my wall. I'm very inspired by his assertion that he is the greatest before anybody even knew who he was, and how he lived into it and became known as, and qualified as the greatest boxer of all time. Um, and so for me, that's huge. That's like, I see that as a way of speaking into existence, like the greatest realization of our potential, like just being the best, being a champion. And the other meaning of the word champion is essentially like a king or queen's champion, that person whose job at the coronation was to say, if there's anybody here who thinks or believes that this person shouldn't be king, raise your hand and I'll fight you to the death. And a champion is essentially somebody who's a warrior for another person. And so for me in my work, it's like I am committed to being that kind of champion for everybody, like willing to die metaphorically in most cases for their truth and for them being everything they can be, champion for them being everything they can be. And to tie the two together, I'll just say that for me in my work, being the best at something is how to be a champion for other people. Like I used the example of Roger Bannister, who was the first person to break the 4 minute
4 minute
mile.
mile, yeah.
By being the fastest man in the world, he was a champion for everybody being faster. And so the two things tie together in that way.
Right. What was it like a year afterwards? What was it,
Like
six other
17
people?
people or something. Yeah.
Yeah, did it. He
Yeah.
broke the wall, that
Mm-hmm.
invisible wall for sure.
Yeah.
Um, that's cool, man. That's really cool. So how did like you're a champion for being now, you're coaching all these people, you're
Mm.
leading a group of these creating champions doing the same
Mm-hmm.
thing that you're doing. How I mean, where did you come from? Where are you from? I mean,
From
how
down
was
the
it
street
growing
from
up?
you.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
grew up in
yeah,
Rhode
right.
Island, as you know.
Where in Rhode
Um,
Island? I just had my curious. Not like anyone isn't
Yeah,
listening is
I
gonna know, but
was New York. I was New York, North Kingstown until I was like 10, and then we moved to Warwick.
got it. Yeah,
I
literally
lived
right
like
down
on
the
the
road from
east,
me.
yeah, East Greenwich line. I went to school, Tollgate High School, and yeah, and then I went to URI,
Yeah,
and
just a
just
normal
down
guy.
by the beach. Just a normal Rhode Island guy, yeah. And then I
Yeah.
left when I was 24, 25. For 10 years, I was outside the U.S. I lived
Oh yeah.
nomadically for a few years out of a backpack around the world, and then I settled in London for 7 years. Met my now wife there. Then we moved back to the States, and I lived in LA for 7 years before moving to Maui, where we now live with our two boys.
Wild.
Yeah.
What's the craziest story you got from when you're backpacking around?
Um, oh, I don't know about crazy, but the first like memory that jumped to mind, definitely not crazy in the sense of like dangerous or something. Well, paragliding just jumped into my mind when you said that. I think that was like one of the most like just awe-inspiring and like physically like just like magical experiences, like flying essentially.
Yeah, right.
So I learned to paraglide in the Swiss Alps. I took like a course, and I didn't do the whole thing and get my license, but I was doing solo flights from like, I don't know how high I was, but I was well above the tree line. It was the middle of summer and there was snow, so I was really high. And I was just running down this snowy cap mountain, and then I was in flight, and it was incredible, just like being soaring through the air like an eagle. I mean, when you have a paragliding, there's no motor, so it's just completely silent. You hear like the wind in your ears, except, when you're riding your bike, if you turn your head sideways, like the wind stops and it just goes quiet. And it was like that. I turned my head and it was just like total silence. And I'm like flying over houses and sheep and stuff. And then like for like 45 minutes and then all the way down, like over the lakes and into like to this green, like kind of field. So that was just awesome. I mean, everybody dreams of flying and then being able to make a choice when you're in the air about, there's some sheep over there. Let me go that way. And just like flying over the sheep. It was like cool. Being in a dream. So that was definitely one of the most awesome experiences. And I did some of that in France as well. And now that I live in Maui on a volcano, I've seen people paragliding. So I think I'm probably going to go back to it again. I haven't done it in like 15 years, but yeah.
Is it awesome. Dangerous? People get hurt doing it?
What they told me in Switzerland when I was learning it was the only extreme sport that you can get insurance for because of how low the risk of injury is in paragliding in particular. And I think it's because your parachute is already deployed before you even leave the ground.
It makes sense.
So like the only time typically the injuries are like during takeoff when people like are running down the mountain and then they trip or something.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not like you jump out of a plane. It's like if your parachute doesn't open, there's trouble. But so in that sense, it was pretty safe. I'm sure there's accidents, but I didn't see any.
Yeah. I was just wondering, like, I found when I had my kids that I turned into like a big, pussy for lack of better words. I was like, it's not just like my life I'm risking.
Exactly. That's why there's lots of things I'm glad I did before, before I don't need to go jump out of a plane now or bungee jump now because I did it all. And I've got kids, so it's not worth it. Like even actually for me, a motorcycle is like, that to me is way scarier than like skydiving. It seems more dangerous.
I agree with you there. So, I mean, you weren't always a coach, right? I think that
12 years now. Yeah.
Yeah. But what were you doing before that? What was like your first little entrepreneurial thing? Maybe not first. I'm not talking about like your lemonade stand
because I did have a lemonade stand.
I bet you did.
Kingstown,
I bet you did.
Butternut Drive. Yeah.
But what was your first, like maybe the first business you made 6 figures in a year? Is that a good one?
Yeah. I mean, that was I've had lots before that, but because I had businesses while I was in college and stuff. But yeah, my web media company, building websites for nonprofits for free. And then within a year, we were doing 6-figure projects, like a single client. It was over $100,000. Actually, probably in about 18 months from the start of our business. I knew how to write code because I studied physics and like computer science. And I had friends that were designers working for a company and probably not that far down the street from you in Providence. And like they were doing websites for like oil companies and stuff. And they were like, this sucks. I don't want to like help these companies. And so we wanted to do something meaningful. And so we just started offering services to little nonprofits and word got around because they were awesome designers and I could make the website work. And then we started getting paid work. And then, within like about 2 years in, we were literally at the NASDAQ building launching a website in Times Square. They like shut down Times Square for this huge like climate website that we built out, and it was awesome. It was a team of 8 of us. It gave me a sense that like, it just helped. I mean, I had been entrepreneurial my whole life, but I'd never done something that got so big, so quickly. And that kind of like, I kind of up-leveled my sense of what was possible for me in my life as an entrepreneur, because I think up until then it was like entrepreneurialism was just something I was doing because I didn't know what I wanted to do. Okay. I just was an entrepreneur. Like I wasn't like, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I studied physics. I was like, what's going to be my thing? But then I think that was like, oh, this is my thing. And that's enough. That's more than enough. It's great. And so I could basically it was what I'm saying is like, I could make enough money just being an entrepreneur to keep creating. So yeah, actually that was my second business. I did 6 figures because I was in real estate before that. I just I got into it, but yeah. That's
cool. I want to kind of paint the picture for, I have some background on you. I don't always have that on.
Okay, cool.
But I in my business, I work with a ton of coaches. Like if for some reason that just ends up being our niche. We work with a lot of coaches, and we've worked with a lot of coaches. I've been coached by a lot of coaches.
Cool.
And your thought process with things is nothing like any other coach that I've worked with or been coached by. And I mean, just clearly you have some experience tied to it that, you know, makes you coach like this, or maybe just time thinking gets you there. But you just said that you were doing nonprofits websites for free. And I hear you say this a lot too, is like if you want to, first of all, get good at something, or if you want to actually go and make an impact, or like, it's not about being paid. It's like going out and helping people that need help because you want to help them. And it's that over a certain amount of time, you're eventually going to fill up your time, your 40 hours, your 80 hours, whatever you're willing to work in a week. And then you're going to have to start getting paid to do it. So like, these are coming from I would love to hear that out of your mouth, and how you would explain it to someone listening if they're starting a business and the way to approach it, or if they're starting a coaching business, whatever it happens to be.
I think people get so concerned with like trying to have a functioning business that they just don't like basically what like I said earlier, like I've just always been an entrepreneur, and I wasn't ever trying to be. And that was an outgrowth of me just doing the work that I loved and just helping people. Like one of my first businesses that was like when I was college, I guess it was freshman year or something. So I just was into computers, and I would go and hang out with my dad at like his office, and then the computer wouldn't work, and I'd help him fix it. And then like his friend would be like, "Hey, can you help me?" And I would just help him. And then suddenly I was helping all the people in like the office park help their computers. And I was being like, my dad's like, "You should make them pay you. Just send them an invoice." And I was like, "Oh, what's an invoice?" And it's like, and then I just started like getting paid to help.
Right.
So the help came first, and then more people, and then getting paid. And so that just was my formula. So every business, when I got into real estate, I just helped people figure out what their house was worth. I just helped people, you know, connect so they could get things fixed in their houses. And just by helping people with houses, I started getting listing contracts and selling houses. And so then when it was websites, it was just like, I'm just going to help people have websites because I can do that. And just keep helping people until I couldn't afford to spend my time helping more people, and I would charge for it. And then I would charge more for it. And then but I think you kind of mentioned this briefly. And here's the other thing. It's like when you go into coaching, it's very obvious. Like most people get into the coaching business, or they're trying to get in the coaching business, and they spend all their time thinking about how can I like get people to know about how great I am at coaching, and how can I get them to believe that I'm great, and then get them to pay me so that I can coach them. And there's two problems with that. Number one is they're trying to concern themselves with getting people to believe that they're great at coaching, and not actually being that great because they haven't done that much coaching, because they're waiting to coach people until they're paid.
Yeah.
And the other problem is just like, well, that's the same problem. They're just not going to get better at coaching, right? It's going to take them a long time to get good, because they're going to get all their experience after they've convinced somebody that they're good enough to coach them. So when I've just been like, shit, I'm just going to coach as many people as I can for free, a little bit. So in the beginning, I said, I'm going to take 6 friends on a 6 or 3 month journey. I'm going to coach them all but then after that, and I did that for free. But then after that, I was like, I'm going to coach lots of different people a little bit for free. And that's just a better use of my time, because I'm still getting the experience, but I'm not just helping one person a lot. I'm actually touching lots of different people, making a difference for lots of different people in a small amount of time. And so I would do 1 or 2 hour coaching sessions with hundreds of people. And after I've done that, now I've done like 2, 3, 4, 500 hours of coaching. Maybe I didn't make it that far without getting paid, but I made 75 hours of coaching, maybe 100 hours of coaching before I made $1. But then it started to scale very quickly because I had some skills, man. I'd like done the work,
right?
You know, and not just that I've done 100 hours of coaching, but over like 50 people, 75 people. And so that was like a lot of diversity and experience. And so I got some chops, and I was good at what I was doing. And not just that I was, but I actually knew that I was, because I've had the reference experience. Nothing gives a person confidence more than experience. Mm-hmm. And so you take that, and then you combine it with the fact that helping lots of people, like word gets around and people remember. And so I have clients now and recently that I hadn't talked to in 10 years, but 10 years ago I had a one-off free conversation with them and they came back. In fact, I had a guy one of our new programs, and in the program I was talking about this project I did early on in my coaching where I did 100 secret dreams. I'm going to help 100 people discover their secret dream. And that was like literally right at the beginning of my coaching career. And one of the guys in our current program was like, actually, that I was one of those conversations, and I'd forgotten because it's been 10 years, and it was like I don't remember everybody's name. And then he was like, because he heard about it, he's like, that was actually, I was one of those people. And I was like, and he's been following me all this time, just kind of in the background, but people remember. And so when you do this approach, you're not just skilling up and getting your confidence through helping people for free. You're actually building the foundation of your referral base for your career.
Mm. Yeah. And I don't know about you, but I really do believe that relationships are like the new economy.
Absolutely. Oh, and the old economy, dude. But,
right. But
it's just,
I think it's even more so now where like, I don't know. I haven't been in business long.
Well, tell me why. Tell me why. Why do you think even more so now? Maybe it is.
I think that with, I think social media, I wanted to talk about it, right? Social media brings us together in an odd way, but also separates us quite a bit, and everything going digital. We're on a Zoom call right now. It's nice that I get to talk to you while you're in Hawaii and people see our face for sure. But it's also driving a wedge because I go home and I'm not trying to ask my friend to come over because I feel like I'm connected to him online or something like that. Right. I know what's going on in his life that way. But the more I have these types of conversations, the more I talk to people. I go to networking events and actually genuinely just try to be a friend or be kind in some sort of way. That has turned into way more business for me than any prospecting and any advertising, than anything else at all. It's all come from just kind of being a good person and caring about another person in some shape or form. I mean, they could just be like, we're just shooting the shit, laughing, having a good time, talking about, what we enjoy drinking or what food we're gonna eat or the next vacation we're gonna go on. And they just happen to know I do social media marketing. And when they go back home and their friend down the street needs it, they're gonna be like, he was a good guy. Well, I want to give him business. That I find that really does happen quite a bit for me. And I mean, from what you're saying, it's kind of proven to be true.
Yeah, I mean, it's always been true for me that relationships are central. Maybe in this current climate, the way things are going is that it's like there's like this tenuous kind of superficial relationship that's possible, and that people are sometimes appeasing themselves with or thinking is the thing and is enough. But the moment you go deeper and you actually have a real deep and honest connection with a person, it rises above everything else, because maybe we're not aware that it's not actually enough, right? When you actually really connect with somebody. And that's been our kind of strategy with social media. It's like, if we look at social media as like advertising, then it's a numbers game, and you can pull some clients from that. But like, I know, I mean, when I met you, I had maybe 1,000 followers when we started working together. And I was doing about $500,000 a year in coaching revenue from 1,000 followers. Yeah. Now I know people that I've had clients that have 150,000 followers and are doing much less money in revenue than that. And it's not just about having more followers. And it's not even about necessarily having more of the right followers. Of course, that's a factor, but it's like, how are you going to show up with the people who are following you? Are you going to treat them like an advertiser, like a number, and like I'm throwing darts or throwing hooks out and hoping I can catch one? Or are you going to treat them all like the individual human beings they are? I always say to my clients, like even my clients that have 100 followers, and it's like, how many of those people are your friends? And he's like, well, maybe 10 or 20. And like, so there's 80 people that you don't know following you. Imagine that you set up a public event talk and you're going to a room and 100 people come, 20 are your friends and 80 you don't know. Like, all you have to do is get down off that stage and just talk to them. Like, they came to listen to you. That's massive. That's 80 people. You could build a 6-figure business off that room. You don't need more followers. You just need to see them as individuals and to treat them like humans and to talk to them like real and be with them. Pay attention. And so that's the way I've always treated the people that follow me. And so, we're now that it's not just me, it's the team. What I'm doing is trying to help and teach the team to treat our followers that way. We don't need more people. We just need to be more real and close with the people that we've got. So for me, everybody that follows me, it's like I take that, seriously and kind of treat them. And working with me, because you do our social, so it's like I have a high bar for the truth and honesty and how we relate to every single person that engages with us. If I piss one person off, it's like that matters to me. Not like I'm afraid of it, because I'm not like on the back foot all the time, like, but I also I'm concerned, like, who am I being and what am I creating with the people that I'm engaging with?
Totally. You're preaching to the choir over here for sure.
Cool.
I mean, we're still trying to figure out how it works, but we got, a camera set up so that it can film me all day long, actually being me.
Cool.
So that it's like not like anything staged or thought up or anything in the past. It's me turning around and talking to Rebecca or hopping on a Zoom call with one of my VAs or my writer or a client or whatever it happens to be. But actually what I'm saying is what I would say. And it's like, forget that it's there, and then allow a video editor to go chop it up and make some social stuff. So, and it's literally authentic. I mean, like, other than the idea that I could possibly be just aware that a camera is rolling while I'm talking, is the only thing that could be somewhat
like a spy cam.
Spy
cam.
Yeah, that's the idea behind it.
Cool.
That's what I'm laying into recently. So yeah, I want to ask you some questions. How's having kids impacted your life, your career, the way you be? I'll use JP language.
So many ways. I mean, this sense of self has expanded to include my kids, right? And so, like, what do I want to do today is no longer a question about one human body. It's a question about, like, at least 3, if not including my wife as well, 4, which is important, because there's no sense of like sacrificing my time to do stuff with them. Even if it's like, I want to work and I want to be with them, that's not like for me or for them. That's the work is for them and the being with them is for them too. So it's given me, more kind of inspiration to create more in the world, both as an example for them of like what's possible, like the Roger Bannister thing, like being a champion, but also, to provide the financially provide the life for them that I'd like to provide, that I'd like them to have. And also, like, I have always been, for most of my life, kind of like, we could say an active nihilist, like, for to use a Nietzsche term, like, it's all made up, man. It's all like just an illusion. Nothing's real except that which we believe is real. So I am a stand for that active nihilism, meaning, but that doesn't mean therefore I'm just going to sit around and do nothing. That means I get to create meaning. That's an exciting creative opportunity. And it's given me, while it's given me a lot of freedom and creativity, it's also given me a little bit of a like, so let's just dance until the world blows up, man. Like, whatever, I'm going to be gone. And now that I've got kids, it's like, yeah, I'm going to be gone, but they're going to be here. So I've find myself now like being more concerned with what is the world that we're creating, like, more concerned about the impact that we're having on the planet, more concerned about what's happening socially and politically, because it's not just about like the context for me and my life, it's also about them. And so, I'm meeting that with how do I educate them and how do they grow up being in the world and what are they capable of and navigating and, with whatever happens. And then it's also like, what is my contribution to a better planet? Like, I'm not out there like a protester, but I am looking at my own life and the work that I do and how it contributes to the society and to the planet that I'd love them to be living in. So I think having kids is, giving me more motivation to create at a higher level and also more purpose in creating a more beautiful world, for everybody, but, inspired by my kids living in it for sure.
Yeah, I connect with that a lot. Especially when you first said, I'm not making a choice about what I want to do for the today as one being. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's for all of us. Yeah.
And it's odd because I think a younger version of me would have thought it was a sacrifice to do so.
Exactly.
But
From the outside, that's what it looks like.
yeah, and it's weird because like it's almost you explained it really well, but I it's almost inexplainable.
Yeah. Yeah.
To try to really convey that because you do wake up in the morning and I have things I want to do. I have things that I want to do with my kids. I have things I want my kids to do by themselves. And my wife has her own view of that as well. And it's cool making it all work. It's like jazz. I went to school for jazz, but yeah.
Did you?
Yeah.
You went to school for jazz? Oh,
jazz
cool.
composition.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know that. Amazing.
Yeah, man.
You got to check out my client Kate's music. She's an amazing musician and artist, and with a background in jazz.
Can't wait.
She's one of the best guitarists in the world. She's super cool.
Oh, that's sweet. Yeah. I played jazz guitar.
Oh, you did? Oh
that's
my gosh.
funny, man. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, Kate Shutt Music.
Shout out Kate Shutt Music. Go check her out.
Yeah, there you go.
That's awesome. You mind if I ask you some personal questions?
I don't mind.
You don't mind?
Sex, drugs, rock and roll, bring it.
How much money are you making right now, man?
I don't know, like hopefully
a year, or a month. What are you doing?
Me personally, I think if I did like 800 in revenue last year, and we probably took a little over 550 out of the business personally.
That's a good
big tax bill coming.
I'm sure.
Yeah,
I do too.
It's a reduction in the profit margin. I've usually profit like 80%, but now that we're scaling the business and there's a team, it's gone down to like 60%. And it's the opposite of what most people have do in business, but I always built my business as me and I took every penny from it. And I didn't but I was everything. I have a client who has a company that does like ceramics and pottery. And I was explaining to her, like, in my business, I have been the wheel and the kiln, right? Like I am everything. And so I take most of the money, but now that's shifting. And over the next years my profit margin will go down, because I'll give more of the money to the team as we grow the team. And I'm actually, that's my goal, is to take less money from the business. Right. My goal is to take less money from the business and lower the price of all of the things all the products that we offer, so that we can reach more people and have more impact. In the end, I think that my personal income will still go up, but that's going to happen as a result of reducing the profit. Yes. You have, bigger reach, bigger impact.
Yeah. These ironic realizations in business that be cool. I'm going to take less profit. I'm going to make more money. And
yes. Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to impact more people. And yeah, it's interesting. I definitely did the opposite of what you did. I'm like, I was making $2,000 a month and I hired my first employee.
Cool. Yeah, that's what most people do.
Yeah.
Like, that's putting the business before yourself.
Oh yeah. Like, but, literally wasn't paying myself.
Yeah. For that's
months
so foreign
months
to me, but I admire it. I admire it. Yeah.
Well,
because I'm learning that path now. And it's like, I think it's harder to do when you're so accustomed to having all the money. It's like giving it up isn't easy. I
didn't know what I was doing, to be honest with you. But I was like, cool. I was like, I think this is what you're supposed to do when you have a business. You're supposed to have employees. Okay. Like, give it a shot and then just try to do the right thing. Is what I try to do. It's like, do right by my employees, do right by my clients, and and then I don't try and cut any corners if you can. Right. You have any plans, dreams, fantasies of the future?
Oh, always. And just created them anew because I've been literally literally dreaming my life into existence my whole life. I think if there's anything that's kind of odd about my life path is
Like
just
literal
like
lucid
all,
dreaming.
yeah, daydreaming.
Okay. Yeah.
Daydreaming more
Gotcha.
than lucid dreaming. I mean, lucid dreaming is cool too, but when I say dreaming, I mean like in like the, hey, what are your dreams? Like that comes from using your imagination when you're awake,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
right? Like, it would be weird if I brought to life my nighttime dreams. That would be like, yes, that very different life. But anyway, so daydreaming my life into existence, imagining my life into existence. Since we all do that as kids,
Mm-hmm.
and then we're told to stop daydreaming in school, and that you can't just do it because it's your dream, and then it gets stamped out of us. But for some reason, I just didn't stop. I just dreamed it, whether it was like go build this fort in the woods, or go build this lemonade stand, or go build this business, or go build this band. I just kept doing it. Or it was like go and travel the world. I just kept daydreaming it and doing it, daydreaming it and doing it over and over and over again. And then I built a business off that. It's like funny that I help other people to do that essentially. And then I met my wife, and that was the first time that I was like, oh shit, I can't do this anymore, because it
You
matters
can't
to me.
daydream anymore. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I couldn't do it the way I was doing it. I couldn't just daydream and go do my life because she had her dreams too. So that
Ooh.
wasn't going to work. And so it was an evolution, because what it looks like is like, okay, my dream, then your dream, then my dream, that like we'll take turns. But that didn't feel good either, having like this economy of dreams.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm
Um,
connecting with you real hard right now.
so we both realized that in order for us to have a life together, we both would have to each give up our dreams for our lives and start dreaming together. And so we both said, forget whatever we dreamed of our life was going to be. And now that we're together, what if we dream together? And that's been our practice since we've been together now for 10 years. And we dream together, and I can get into the nuts and bolts of what that looks like, but we've essentially been daydreaming together, creating that as our life, and then having this period of like, okay, this is amazing. And we actually thrive on creating a dream. So we need a new dream. And so we've created and lived our dreams probably 4 or 5 cycles now, or since we met, and we just completed a cycle, and we were in that period of like so much gratitude, love being here, so happy here. And it's not about dreaming and creating is not about happiness for us. We have an agreement that we'll never be any happier than we are. And so it's like, we're not chasing happiness. Like it just, happiness is, contentment is. Dreaming is about like the throes of being in the throe of creation. And we thrive on, we love that. But we realize that because it catches you by surprise when you've materialized all your dreams, and then you're like, your vision board is old news. And there's this like, it's like the artist, you want to be creating art.
Yeah.
And so my wife was like, do you realize that we're like kind of just like at sea right now? Like we need a new vision. I was like, holy shit. So we've spent some hours on it, like in conversation and putting together our new vision. And so it's fresh and it's new, and we're just actually getting connected to it and starting to feel that it's possible. The new dream. So all of that was the background to the answer of your question is like, yeah, right now our dreams are largely about taking this home and this land that we bought in Maui and turning it into, it's like a diamond in the rough. We bought 2 acres. We've got 3 houses on the property. But it's kind of, the land's kind of rough land. So we want to turn it into a beautiful farm, essentially, building a wall and fence and a veg garden and more fruit trees, and cultivating the land so that there's grass on it as well. And so it can produce loads of fruit and vegetables for us. The way that we we have some chickens, and so we want to add a little bit more livestock, maybe a couple goats. So we have this awesome vision for just cultivating our home. That's part of it. And then we have vision for our time. People don't usually think about that, like a vision for our calendar, what we'd love our calendar to look like. Because we have the calendar that is, and wouldn't it be cool if we had this much free space in our calendar? So we have actually in our vision board, I've got an image of a Google Calendar with very few events on it. So it's like,
Nice.
that's
Like
the vision for the time, right? Like how we use our time.
yeah.
And we both got visions for our work. Like we've got a vision of me doing public speaking again, and having published books. You know, I'm not doing that right now, but part of the vision of scaling my business is having a team that coaches with me and does the training so that I have more free time so that I can write and develop the philosophy further, and do public speaking to bring people into awareness of the work that we do at Creating. And my wife has the vision. She's studied wine. She's got a diploma in wine tasting, and she's got a vision to open a wine tasting and like cooking school here in Maui, that sells cookware as well. So we've got pictures of all these things. Basically, the way we do a vision board on iCloud. So we basically go and collect a bunch of different images that are expressions of what we love, and then we put them into a shared album on our phones. And then it pops up on our Apple TV, on our phones, on our desktop, on our MacBook, like everywhere, like your Apple Watch even. Like, it's just that imagery is everywhere cycling. And then we sit together and we look at this collection of images we both come up with, and we talk about them. And also, since the images come up in this random order, like, we'll see an image of our son climbing a palm tree, and then it will switch to like a woman underwater, and then we'll have the conversation about like how those two things play into each other. Because my wife's like learning to swim with this vision of like snorkeling and stuff. She'd never learned to swim growing up in London.
Wow.
And so, yeah, that's another thing that we put in our vision board, like images that represent our own personal growth. Like the woman underwater is my wife growing and overcoming her fear of the water and learning to swim. So it's not just material things. It's things about our time, things about our relationship, like we have an image from a date night that we went on 5 years ago on our vision board, because we have the vision to have more regular date nights. So sometimes we use pictures of ourselves in our vision board that like, what does it represent and symbolize? So yeah, we're just creating the new dream. That's some of it.
That's cool, man. That's awesome. It's interesting dreaming together like that. I think me and my partner, we've like dabbled in it, I think. Maybe on accident. Like,
yeah, it's something that you have to give yourself permission to just do. I mean, even though I was doing it the other day on a Friday, I was like, I can't really spend my time like looking for pictures about my dreams all day. This isn't productive work.
It's
I could be doing
productive.
something more. It is, but it's like there's a really powerful cultural story that it's like, it's not, it's not serious work.
I got mine right here. Rebecca's got hers over there. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, good for you guys. It's really uncommon.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'd like to look at it a little bit more, I think. Is it
like a paper vision board?
It's paper. It's on my desk. It's right next to me, but it's,
cool.
Yeah. And I keep it pretty simple.
Do you have all the images in it on your computer too?
I have it like it's on a Canva file that we just printed out.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
But so I'm just saying you could do a slideshow version of each individual image in there.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I like the iCloud feel of it. My mother, who like lives by herself, and she has like pictures of our family playing on her TV, like a slideshow all the time with music. And every time I go over there, I see my kids at different ages through their lives, myself, awesome, my nephew, my sisters, my brothers, and like, oh, I remember that, and it brings back, not just memories but feelings mixed alongside, and what you liked about it, and
that's the thing with the
never thought about it for vision board.
Yeah, but it's like it's when it's always on. I mean, you go into the kitchen to get something to eat, and you look out the corner of your eye and you see that picture again, and it's like it just keeps that vision alive in your body,
right?
Which keeps you oriented towards it, and you go back into your office, and the action you take is informed by that. You lean into your fear a little bit more, you take a little bit more action, or the energy that you bring to the action is imbued with this vision, and it's what has it come into form.
Now we're cutting on time. I'm gonna stop us in 8 minutes here after I ask this question to get like 3 more questions in before we tie it up. But I want to know what it's like to hire JP to coach me. Like, what does my first coaching session look like with you?
It looks the same as the last one, which means that like I just do one thing every single time.
What's that?
I just find out what you would love to create, and I help you to create it through mostly often through a shift in your being. Right. So what would you love to create today? And you get connected with that, and you might say, well, what I should do is, no, that's not what I said. What would you love to create today? Okay. Well, what I want to do is, no, that's not what I said. What would you love to create today? You put your hand on your heart and you're like, oh, okay.
If I want to go write a song or something, but I do marketing.
Yeah. So Well, if you want to go write a song, but you do
No, I would
marketing.
love to go create a song and
Okay. Yeah.
record it
Yeah. So
today. Is what
yeah.
I'm trying to
Yeah.
get at. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But
Okay.
I
So
have to, or I feel like I should be
then the work
taking.
begins right there. Then I start
Yeah.
coaching you around living in this world where there's what you would love to do and what you have to do. And I
Mhm.
would coach you and talk with you and challenge you around your philosophy, the way that you interpret reality, around just the simple idea that there are things you have to do versus
Mhm.
things that you would love to do, and that you have to do certain things. It's what and we have these, and I introduced concepts from our creating perspective, which is like the creator levels. So the survival creator lives in the world of has to have to. And when that world's true and a person shows up in it, they actually create effectively. They achieve things. But there's a limitation on their fulfillment and their capacity to create in the world when they live from the idea that there are things that have to be done.
Yeah.
And so it's like introducing the concept of a world where you can actually do only what you love, and everything that's important to you will be taken care of. So it's like it's like moving a person into that space, into that possibility, in their seeing, in their feeling, and then coming up with explicit actions that you can do that would be an expression of that new reality. Because when you take actions that are an expression of a new reality, you teach yourself that that reality is true, and it becomes more real to you. So for me, the best reason to take an action is because of what it teaches me about who I am. What I get as a result of that is tertiary. When I
Mm.
say tertiary, I mean it's not even the second most important thing. The result is the third most important thing. The first most important thing is who I believe that I am because I took the action. The second most important reason to take an action is because what I will learn through what the result is. And the third most important reason is like, does it produce the result that I want? Like, I want results, but not
Mhm.
as much as I want learning, and not as much as I want to inform myself that I'm a person that takes
Yeah.
actions.
I want to play devil's advocate with you for a second, though.
Go ahead.
Let's say that, okay, I want to go record a bunch of songs all day long, and but I want the result of making $1 million
Mm-hmm.
and being able to provide for my family in a
Mm-hmm.
financially sustainable way. I want to be able to go buy a
Mm-hmm.
house on Maui. I want those results.
Mm-hmm.
But what I would love to do is not going to get me paid, at least not for, like, I'm trying to think of like what's someone going to say like this is bullshit when they're listening to this podcast. This guy's just saying, no, you just do what you love to do, and I'd be broke in a
Well, the
ditch
thing
and
is,
homeless.
when the person sees the world the way that the person that you're pretending you are sees it, they're correct. If it's, I
Okay.
can either do what I love, or I can do what's required to create the money that I would love, then they are right.
Yeah.
Because the two doors that they're seeing are actually an expression of the idea that you must choose. The moment somebody steps into the world that I can do what I love and I can enjoy doing it and I can make all the money, a new door appears. It's probably not playing the guitar, and it's probably not whatever the thing you thought you had to do was.
Right.
It's another door. It's a third option that doesn't exist. Those two options are an expression of the either or world, of the survival creation world. The moment you step into freedom creation, there's a third door that appears, at least a third door. And it's like, oh shit, I didn't even think of that. You can't think of it when you are believing that you must choose.
Mm. Yeah.
So you can't see
No.
the choice until you go into it. And I'm not
That's
going to do
it.
it right here, but
No,
you
no,
know.
no, no, no. I mean, like I can think back of. I mean, people listen to this podcast. I feel like I'm bringing this up every time I'm talking to someone about it. But I mean, I finished my shift supervisor training as a for Red Robin. I was going to be applying to become a manager, and I realized that that's not what I want. It's what I felt like I had to do so I could get my 2 weeks paid vacation with my $50,000 a year salary, so that we might be able to buy a house when Chelsea gets her nursing degree, and then I just decided one day to go. It was my last $27 in my bank account, and I thought that, well, tomorrow I'm waiting tables anyway. I'll make another $100. No big deal, right? And I went to a print shop and printed out something I made on Canva. saying, hey, I'll do your social media for $99. And I went to about like 50 different businesses in West Warwick or Warwick.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, hey, if you guys give me a call by the end of today, I'll do your first month for free. And then afterwards it's the $99 or whatever.
Cool.
Yeah. And I got one person, but like what you're saying, I connect with in the idea that I took that action.
Mm-hmm.
And now I am a social media manager. I am a business owner. My identity shifted from I'm a waiter applying to become a manager at Red Robin. I would be in a dead end job for the rest of my life, which was my mindset, but I was willing to make the sacrifice for my family.
Right.
You know, what was it going through my head?
Yeah. You stepped into the space of freedom creation, which is like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to create, you created a third door.
Yeah.
You basically did. You created a third door. And then the more third doors we create, the more free we are. So so I'm always interested in where am I now in this space of freedom that I've created? Where am I now trying to choose between two things that I think I have to choose between because that's just all there is?
Where does focus come into play though? Because I feel like I could keep creating third doors all day long and then I end up going nowhere because I keep spinning around and opening up new doors. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. Focus happens when you do only what you love. People are like, dude, you're so committed. You're so consistent. Consistency and commitment is a happening when you say no to doing what you don't love to do. Love is consistent. It is focused. It like flow just you stay, you know? And so focus isn't something that I have to do or try to do. If I'm not focused, it's because I'm making sacrifices somewhere. The heart's just like, boom, it beats in one direction. It doesn't mean it never changes forever, but it's like, it's not all over the place. It's like, it knows what it wants and it moves in that direction consistently, you know?
Yeah. Great answer. I'm trying to stump you here, man. And I'm not getting
Bring it.
I like it.
Well, here's the thing. You know, the reason is because I was just thinking about this recently because as I'm thinking about doing public speaking again, one of the things I used to say to the audience at the beginning of my talk, it was like, I'm going to be just sharing some ideas. And what I'd like you to do is to entertain those ideas. Entertain me as I speak and just try it on. I don't know what the truth is. I'm just exploring perspectives. And when something in your mind hears what I have to say and goes, yeah, but raise your hand. Share with me the yeah, but. Not because I want to argue with you, because I want to dance. You might share something and then it expands the perspective. And so I'm not like, I have no like nothing to prove here, right? And so because of that welcomeness, I get to hear questions like you're asking, and then I get to create an answer with you, not to fight back, but just to explore. And so I've done this enough times that like, I would love a question that takes me in a new direction. You know, I'm sure you'll come up with one at some point. So you know,
it's not to challenge you either. It's actually a venture of exploration. Yeah, I'm exploring. And like,
awesome.
I'd rather fight for the truth than to be in my head and be like, I don't know about that. Or
right.
Yeah, I like it. I'm dying to ask you these last three questions. What's your biggest regret you have in your life and why?
Dude, I'm going to say this because it's been on my mind so many times, but like my biggest regret is wearing condoms so much in my life and realizing how not easy it can be to get pregnant and how like lower the risk is than I thought it was. I think like, and I'll use that as both a literal answer, but also like a metaphor for how safe I played it in my life.
Paragliding,
in other realms,
backpacking across the world.
No, but in other realms,
okay,
you know, financially,
okay,
like I would have taken bigger risks now knowing how not dangerous it is, and how I will always land on my feet. I think just socially, like like going out and asking for things, like I would have taken more risks. I would have enjoyed myself more. Because I was less afraid. Oh, drugs. I mean, I didn't take a sip of alcohol till I was 30 years old.
Wow.
I didn't try any drugs like marijuana or anything till I was probably like 40, until they became legal in California when I was living there.
Damn.
And so now I'm like in my 40s and like interested in exploring like psychedelics and things like that. And it's like, And, you know, it was a bit of like, I'm not safe. I must be in control. I must be in control. I have to
Mm.
make sure I wear the condom before I touch the girl. Make sure I like, don't take any drugs, don't drink any alcohol, So whilst I did have like, okay, adventure sports and things like that. And there were areas of my life where some people would say I was taking on risk, but yeah, for me, I would have leaned in more in lots of areas.
Cool. Um, Now you got to go back in time. You get
Mm.
to talk to yourself at any age. What age would you go back to? And you only get 3 sentences to tell yourself.
So I can go back in time once and I can say 3 sentences to that person at one time, or this is 3 instances.
That
One
one
ride in
time,
the DeLorean,
one ride in the DeLorean. That's it.
and I
Yeah.
get to put one date in and I can say 3 sentences to myself at
And
that
then you
time.
poof right back to the time you're at now. Yep. Just like
Oh,
that.
and
What
it
would
will
you-
be different. It'll be like Biff will be like president of.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, I'll play with this. I mean, there's a part of me that's like, I have no regrets. I wouldn't change anything, blah, 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 blah. It's like the spiritual thing, but like we can also play the game, right? So like
It doesn't even
on
have to be
that,
like something to change, man. Like you can go back here to yourself and say, "Hey, man, you're doing a great job."
yeah, but that would change everything.
Yeah. Let's play the
If
game.
the yeah,
It's your
let's
game
play
to
the
play.
game.
I want to hear it.
Yeah,
I want to
yeah.
watch.
Mm. Hmm. It's scary to go back in time to do something that could change everything. I would go back and I would say, um, I would go back to myself in high school, Tollgate High School. I was probably in 10th grade, and I'd pull myself out of the cafeteria right before I had done some stupid thing to some kid that didn't deserve it, and I would say to myself, be kind,
Mm.
eat healthy, because it's really Taco Bell and soda,
Yeah.
and don't be so concerned about condoms. That's what I would say. That's what I would say.
Well, it's good. It's good, man. um, why or who should contact you if they want to work with you, and maybe who shouldn't?
Mm. I mean, I don't know. People weed themselves out. You shouldn't if you are intimidated by the things that I share, because we confront people with the reality of their power, and sometimes people just aren't ready for that. And people can self-select for that. It's not like I don't make that determination. I don't say no
Right.
to anybody. Everybody is welcome, but people can self-select if that's not what they want. But who should contact me? I mean, the thing is, the reality is I have one private coaching space right now. It's a $65,000 commitment. I'm not really like looking for a client. I'm focused on the evolution of our training company. So anybody should contact us who is interested in learning how to create everything that they want in their life. And I mean, so our niche is human beings, and what we specifically help people to create is everything. And that's very antithetical to your standard offering, right? Like how you're supposed to do it in
Right.
marketing. But it's actually the deepest truth. We work at such a deep level of a person's way of mapping reality and who they think they are that we literally help people to create in every domain. I don't care if you're a person that has a job or you're an entrepreneur. I don't care if we're creating in your relationship or in your business or your health and fitness. When you go down to the level that we create at, like literally shifting a person's interpretation of reality and themselves, it can change everything. So anybody who wants a greater sense of freedom through their inner and their outer, like maybe it's more making more money, or maybe it's like spiritually, we focus on both. We help people to create both, more freedom, and through that they experience more love and they're able to have more impact and create more of what they want. So if that's of interest, reach out to us.
Yeah. I think you've given a lot on this interview.
Thank you.
I want to thank you for that. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for taking the time. Your time is valuable, for many reasons. And I just wanted to see if there's anything that you could ask right? So you've given the listeners a lot of stuff. You've given them a chance to reach out to you and your now growing team and company. How could someone support you?
The best way for people to support me is to grow in their power to create from love, like liberate themselves. And that sounds kind of paradoxical, but the best support somebody could give me is to engage in our work and to grow themselves. And the reason that I mean it when that's actually supporting me. That's not just some clever like sales hook or something. It's literally supporting me because, as I was saying up front, like when I help people to be more free, when we help people to be more free, when we help people to come from love in everything they do, and we help them to create more of what they would love through that means, they're creating a more beautiful personal world for themselves. And that contributes to a more beautiful world. And that you helping me to create a more beautiful world is how you, that's a huge help to me. That's what I want. That's what I want. So let me help you create a more beautiful world. And that would be helpful to me.
Yeah. I love it. Guys, it's at JP Morgan Jr. JR, right? On Instagram. Yeah. You guys should go follow him. He's got lots of interesting ideas to share on there. Especially if you can catch some of his videos when he hops on there with his crazy psychedelic background. You know you're in for a ride when you get those. But yeah, check him out. What's gonna be the new handle for creating
for the company?
Yeah,
Instagram is we.r.creating.
Okay, gotcha. I'll make sure I link it up in the show notes and everything too. Cool. And I always say this, guys, this is free. I have nothing to sell you. I don't want to sell you anything. I want to introduce you to people and ideas that can change your life and make your life a whole lot more exciting, fun, and enjoyable, so that you can go out and do the same thing for others. Kind of like the same stuff that JP was just saying, but I really, really am passionate about it. And with that being said, your payment for this episode is that you go and share it with someone that you think would need it. Because maybe JP stuff is like a little out there for you, or you're not ready for it. You're not ready to see how amazing you are. But that person, that your cousin, your mom, your aunt, they need to hear it. So just hit that share button. And thank you so much for listening or watching. If you're on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. I love doing this. It is a pleasure. And JP, thank you for taking time out of your day.
You're welcome.
Away from your kids, your chicken, your place on Maui, your clients to come and drop some knowledge and wisdom and experience with us, man.
You're welcome, Keaton. Thank you for having me.